Michael. Thank you, Michael and ADI, for the opportunity to present with this group. The first thing I want to do is introduce Caitlin and Russ very quickly. They're going to be on the back side supporting. They're going to be answering your questions and answers. They're going to be answering and responding to all your chats. Caitlin is great with providing a lot of resources and a lot of links. So she's going to put up a link a lot. It's going to correspond usually with what we're talking about throughout the presentation deck. But feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask or feel free to chat with us. If you want to, do feel free to go to the chat, and on the bottom option down there, go ahead and click on the drop down and convert from sending your chat to panelists and attendees. That allows everyone to see the questions back and forth. They can see the question and the answer, the response that you're going to get on the back side of it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and start our presentation here as we get forward here. So I'm going to hide everybody up here and we'll get started. So we're going to talk this morning about storefront openings so we can kind of see, have a basic understanding of what are we looking at as we look at that opening, because we have a lot of storefront openings out there. And there again, I'd like to say thank you to Michael and ADI for giving us this opportunity to work with you. So let's go ahead and get moving forward here quickly. We've got about 45 minutes. We're going to take a 4-hour block and put it down into about 45 minutes, down and dirty, storefront openings. What do you need to know and what we can do to help you out? As you can see with ASSA ABLOY, you can see we're very vast in what we do. If you're thinking of any kind of an opening that you want to be able to do, we have a lot of brands. We have a lot of different groups and solutions that are out there for you. On top of that, we have roughly about 900 representatives spread across the United States that are outside representatives of all the brands that you see up there. They're there to help and support you as you're doing your jobs out there. Whether you're doing technical side, specification side, site inspections, they're there to help you out. And as you can see, we do a lot of different things out there. Pretty much any kind of opening you can imagine. We can do the doors, the frames, the hardware, a lot of different solutions that are out there for you. Up in the top right corner of this one, you can see the different brands that Russ, Caitlin, and I represent. HES, Securitron, Adams, Rite, and Folger Adams and Alarm Controls, all different group brands that support you. If you're looking for an accessory for an access control system, you've come to the right place with a lot of options. Safety is one of the most important things that we deal with every day, and over the last 3-4 months, we've really seen that really kicked up quite a bit. Not only safety on the job site, safety at work, safety and the social distancing that we're dealing with now because we're dealing with that invisible bug that is out there. So safety has really changed, making sure that we have the proper PPE we need when we're out there on the job site. And it's not just the stuff for safety, it's the stuff for that bacteria or that virus stuff that we can't see anymore that we're practicing safety for. You all have customers out there. We're going out there and seeing, we're talking to them, make sure we're exercising that social distancing and following safety standards as we need to. So we're going to focus today on store openings because when we look at a storefront opening, the whole aspect of a storefront opening is to really be a representation of what we do there as a business. You know, what are we trying to show them that we do? And that representation is roughly 50% of all the applications across the United States. We're looking for that opportunity where we can enter into a facility and we can see from not only before we enter in, we can see on the outside, what are we looking at on what's on the inside? Is there something that's visually attractive to me that wants me in? You know, you're walking down a bank of windows along in a retail area. What am I looking at? You know, do I want to go inside and take a look for merchandise and retailing stuff? But over 50% of what we see out there starts right here in this basic storefront opening or shopfront opening. What we're going to do is we're going to look at, you know, the components of that storefront, you know, the aluminum side of it. And we're going to look at the frames. We're going to look at locks and latches scenarios and talk about how we're changing. You know, the last 3 months have brought along some very significant changes, and we expect that to continue to grow as we move forward. And with that, we're going to start with doors and frame basics. So as I said, we were taking 4 hours and we're putting in about 45 minutes. So we're going to talk about this stuff. Feel free to chat and ask questions. Russ is very technical on the back end to help and support. And I highly suggest anybody else sitting there that may have an answer. You know, sometimes you may see something and you think of something different. Feel free to in there in the chair you're set as panelists and all attendees so everyone gets to see it. But one of the things I like about this format is we can all chat and we can all share our information that we have out there. So when we look at a storefront opening, we have to keep in mind, this comes in many different shapes and sizes. Double doors are very common. We see them all over the place, but we're also taking these and we're giving them different colors, different shapes, and we're going to identify those different parts and pieces. And what do we need to know and what do we need to understand as we're looking at some of these, because they do come in different sizes, different shapes. This last one right here, that's a 10-foot door. So they're not all the same. They're not the standard old 7-foot doors anymore. They're coming in different sizes and different shapes. And if you looked at the ones as I brought them up, they actually look a little bit different on the hardware side as well. So we're going to talk a little about the hardware and how that plays a role in what we're going to look at here as we go forward. And these are customizable as well. I can take and I can build that frame to fit a solution that I need. The customer needs something to be able to, they need to be able to open up a double or a second side of doors. They don't need a full double door setup, but they need to be able to open something to allow me to move heavy things in and out. So I may have a customized door, a mini door that is wide enough so I can open up both the doors, a full-size door at 3.7, and then a mini door, which may be wide enough for me to move equipment in and out. These are very much customizable to what we're working with. So we're going to talk about some of this as we continue through. But also remember, we're finding a lot of this stuff on the interior of a building as well. We're seeing more and more on the interior where we're building something. People like to be able to look through glass. They like to be able to look through windows and see what's on the other side. There again, what is the activity in there? Some people like it and some people don't like it. But we're seeing more of it moving interior, and we're seeing it coming in all different applications. Here on this one here, I've got a double doors. Notice that here I do not have a center mullion on the door. This has got a top mounted vertical rod set on the top to give me security, and somebody on this one added a mag lock up on the top of it. Versus over here I've got a double doors, but I've got a center mullion in this one. We've used vertical rod, or we've used access devices. We use bars across the door in this situation to be able to secure our doors. But you notice I have a center removable mullion. And for any of you who have not been in any of our other classes, we currently right now have about 8 different classes up and online running, but we're going to talk about these other details in different classes. But we have to be very aware of these configurations are changeable. They are adjustable. We can have center mullions. We can add center mullions if it does not have one. These are very much changeable, and they're very much sizable to fit and customize as we want. When we look at the basic door, we're going to kind of talk about some things that when you're out there looking at a door, and I teach a site survey class for general site survey, doing site surveys for Electrified, survey for Magbox. We have lots of different programs we have out there. And what we're going to kind of talk about is we're going to talk about, what do I want you to know? What do we need to know to be able to help you? And we're going to talk a little bit more on that as we move forward. Here I've got an example of a double door. You can see I've identified the key components of and around the door where we're talking about a top rail. We've got a bottom rail. And the 2 sides that go up on the long sides, those are called stile. And those come in 3 different widths, either 2-inch, 3.5 inch, or 5 inches wide. And those are things that become really important to us. We kind of work through this, and we're going to talk about some of the components that are out there. But the other thing I want you to keep in mind is that door, the thickness of the door. Standard is 1 3/4 inch. That is standard. However, it does come in 2 1/4 inch as well. So you want to be careful. You want to pay attention to the detail, because those are things that we're going to talk to you about as we move forward here. What do we need to know to be able to help you? And these are things that need to come from you if you're the person out there doing the site survey. I taught site surveys back 23 years of fire security and access control in the Phoenix marketplace. So I had to learn and understand all these different things out there. I've been a trainer. I was a trainer for 3 years, one of the largest fire security integrators here in the Valley. But understanding what you need to know, understanding that the person who's out there site surveying, what do we need to know? And we're going to get into that here very quickly. What do we need to know to be able to help you? And we need to understand these basic things I'm showing you right here. Keep in mind, these doors, frames, hardware, they come in many different shapes and sizes, singles, doubles. They can be super tall. They went up to 10 foot is the tallest storefront opening I've ever seen. But usually when we get into that, we're dealing with something that's going to be reinforced with a wide style to add additional strength to it. But then after that, we're going to start looking at all the hardware. And I need to know what all those parts and those pieces are on the inside of the door, what's on the outside of the door. This is where whoever's doing the site survey is taking pictures. They're going to be taking images. What do I have to look at in the different doors? What type of handle is on it? What type of on it? What kind of exit device do you have on it? There are lots of parts and pieces that are out there. And boy, if you notice on the top of the screen up there, a little head popped up with a speaker on it. Well, if you're going to ever have an app on your phone that is designed to help you and make it easy for you to touch somebody, you want our ASSA ABLOY customer support app. It is there to help you communicate with us as quickly as possible. And oh, by the way, if you can get part numbers out there for me, that helps me a lot, because I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the most important things I learned a long time ago is collect the information that we need for the people to help you out. Storefront doors are some of the most elusive hardware openings that you're ever going to come across. And we need to make sure that the parts and pieces are as accurate as possible. We need to be able to get that get the information to us so we can help you design all the way down to the parts that you're going to need. But this is where we need you to help us out. The other thing I do briefly want to talk about is ASSA does have a program out there listed on the Opening Studio program that does help with site surveys, not only site surveys, but a software program that can help and run buildings, help and run how managing a building and all the doors, hardwares, and frames that are out there. And there's a lot of people out there that can help you with that. If you want to, you can scan the QR code down at the bottom. We can provide that as a link to you later on. There's a lot of people out there to help and support you, primarily geared towards the owners, architects, security consultants to really help manage and operate a building out there. The ASSA ABLOY support app, I want you to have on your phone. I'll show you another app later on that is really great to have as well. But the ASSA ABLOY customer support app, you can download it to Apple or Android. And I always tell everybody, there's a 10-minute rule. If you're sitting there messing around with this stuff and you cannot figure it out in 10 minutes, you need to know the right people that can help you. Not only does this app make it easy for you to touch us, because it's really quick and easy, it's literally touch. You touch on the screen and it'll take you to customer support, it'll take you to tech support, customer service, and it opens up an app. It opens up to a program for Adams Rite in this situation. And if you're not familiar with Adams Rite and how far we go back, Adams Rite has been out there in a storefront aluminum since the 40s and 50s timeframe. Adams Rite was that first organization coming out of World War II. We converted from making military parts and pieces into making parts and pieces for storefront openings. It became the standard for aluminum storefront openings back in the 1950s. And that's where we come up with that ANSI standard, is following the Adams Rite product line. So we go way back in history. I'm talking about 70 years already dealing with storefront openings. But when you get to the support app here, you can call and you can talk to us. And in the old days, we would say, send us a picture. But imagine being out on a job right now, and you're literally touching on stream video, and you can stream the video and show us what you're working with on the site. Right there on the site, we can see live stream what is happening and what is not happening. We can help you do a site survey. What do you need? But we're going to look for a lot of information as we kind of move through here. The other thing is we also have a YouTube site there with a lot of stuff left over, with a lot of stuff out there for Adams Rite. So we need to help, we want to be able to help you, but you need to be able to provide us information to help you correctly. Not only correctly for the lock, but also exiting device and entrance trim, so as you move through it. The other thing that's really critical about Adams Rite, if you have partners that can help you out, the locksmith is probably one of the best partners you can have. If you're going to try and move into pulling more and more in-house, which saves you and gives you a higher profit margin, you need to be detailed when you're working with to reading the instructions as you move your way through here. So instructions are important to you. Okay, here again, you see a little head popped up there. If you're out there and you're having problems, use your app on your cell phone. Every single technician working on this stuff, make sure they have it on their cell phone, because it is the easiest way to touch us. I'm guessing the background is Ruben Cesar. He's our technical director, manager sitting back there. And he's going to tell you, we've got a lot of people sitting back there that can help and support you. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the law and the labs and some important things we need to look at. So most of you are probably familiar with the cylindrical lock, the simple mortise locks that we're going to find on a door. You know, and the challenging part we run into is understanding the hardware that goes with it. That's mortise locks there, that key set right there is one of the most common ones you're ever going to come across. And keep in mind, these can come in almost any alignment on the door. Standard on these is going to be 34 to 48 inches above, but sometimes they're lower. And keep in mind, we're responsible for making, when we're going to work with this door frame, we understand the basics of it, but we also understand codes that apply to what we're going to be doing. The nice part about looking at these is when I look at these, I see dead bolts that are going to be thrown across an opening, and we have solutions that are there to help you. The Adams Ray 4300 is one of the easiest conversions that we have out there. We want that is where you're going to take and you can literally pull out that bolt out of there, get the proper mounting screws, and we're going to show you mounting on a little bit, and replace it back into that opening as quickly as we can. Oftentimes you have to consider on the backside, what type of exiting device do I have to go with it? That's where that app comes in real handy to be able to support you. But you can hear, we've got a lot of different options that you're going to find on doors when it comes to how the door is going to be functioning out there in the real world. You have Latchbolts that are out there. Probably one of the most common ones you have out there is a Latchbolt followed by a Pullman latch. Right down there, latch, that's a bar across the door with a Pullman latch. It comes in many different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it may have a dead latch. The dead latch function gives me that anti-pick capability. As you look at the latch bolts on the left, you can see the main latch and the dead latch right below that. Your standard length there is 3/4 inch. The dead latch is sitting right below it. The dead latch functionality is designed to ride up on either the body of the strike, whatever you have there for the strike plate, or the faceplate itself. If you're going to put an electric strike on it, it's going to ride up on the faceplate. But when it collapses into the body, it gives you that anti-pick capability. Same thing with a Pullman latch. If you move to the right of there, you've got the Starwheel. Well, if you've never been to McDonald's before, if you walk into McDonald's across the United States and oftentimes across the world, you're going to come across the Starwheel. The Starwheel has been the standard for McDonald's for many years because of the fact it has additional strength in holding. It cannot be pried open the way the latching, where the Starwheel interacts with the latch, but it also keeps the little kids from getting their fingers hurt. So that's really critical to us. On the right, you've got hook bolts and dead bolts. And there are not a lot we can do up there with those. So we'll come back to those a little bit later on. Above there, you've got bars that can be worked in conjunction with latches. So you go back, you see the latch bolt on the left. I can work that in conjunction with a bar across the door. And that bar across the door oftentimes is there for safety. And when we're dealing with safety, we're dealing with egress. Egress of 50 or more people need to egress through a door so that they can get out. But you also may find that the interlocking, we're seeing a lot more requirements for interlocking. If you want to put a bolt across your door, we're seeing a requirement that you can have that latching mechanism. It's retractable by the trim during standard operations. But if you're going to throw that bolt at a different time, for free egress, I have an interlocking deadbolt that allows me to retract it in one single motion. I can work with everything to the left, but that hook bolt and deadbolt over there, I'm not going to do anything with it. The other one I have out there are vertical rods. Vertical rods have been out there for a long time. And in my years, when I was doing access control and we came across a vertical rod, we would dead it out and we put a mag lock on top of the door. No center mullion, vertical rods. That was a standard for many years. Nowadays, we're coming up with options where we can electrify that bar. We're going to get electrified latch retraction on it. So we have that option. But if you cannot go to electrification of that bar, then you're going to pretty much deaden it out and you're going to have to come up with another option. On the bottom down there, you see bottom rails and floor rails. Okay. Keep in mind, there's not a lot we can do with those things. So for a vertical rod, the only thing you can do is electrify the bar. Other than that, there's not a lot we can do. There's no strikes that'll work with those, things that we want to pay attention to. What are good options out there if we're going to access control? And we have to understand what we're looking at. So this is where it comes back to part of your responsibility when you're out there as well. When you're doing the site survey, There are things you have to know and understand and probably one of the most important things is a lot of times you'll come across a old retail that's been a standard lock and key, get in the store every morning, and now 30 years later. So this thing's been in place for 30, 40 years already. That's how old some of those latch bolts you're going to find are going to be out there. But when we go in and we start converting something from a mechanical format to an electrified format, you have to know and understand the codes. You know, I may have that old latch bolt that's been there forever and it's code compliant until you modify it. You go in there and modify it, you are responsible for code compliance with it. You know, maybe you know, back in the 70s was originally installed that good old lock bolt, the lock set, and I used it, you know, that's how I opened up my door for 30, 40 years. Somebody else comes in and says, I don't want to give out keys anymore. I want to go to Electrified. Well, I've got more than 50 people that are going to exit out of this door. Now I'm required to put a panic rated bar across that door, which means it could change hardware that I'm going to work with. So we have to know and understand the codes. You have to know and understand what codes are applicable in the you live in. Is it 2012, 2015, 2018? I see. There are some sections that still fall under NFA, so you need to know and understand what code you're legally responsible for following. But if you ever convert something from mechanical to an electrified version, you have to bring it to your current code responsible for that. So make sure you understand it. And oh, by the other way, you're also responsible for making sure it's healthy. Is it healthy what you're looking at? Is the door, is the entire opening healthy? And you're considering in the back of your mind, are you capable of making that healthy? If you can't make it healthy, you're going to either say, hey, Mr. I can bring a partner and fix that door and make it work perfectly fine for you, but I want it fixed before I'm going to work on it. I'm going to add my stuff to it. Or Mr. Owner, before I bring my technician out here to do the installation on it. That's a very important thing that you're responsible for. You can show us a lot of stuff. Yes, if you show me in a video stream of something, a door operating, I can help you, or my technicians can help you on the back side and say, yeah, it's healthy, it's not healthy. But you're gonna have to make that decision out there. Is it something you can work on or something you cannot work on? As we move on here, we're gonna talk basic styles, style or frames to look at while we're out there. And as you can see here, the two basic types of frames we're gonna look at. We're looking at the outer frame the door is gonna sit in. On the first one on the left, you can see it's basically a block. It's a triangular or a rectangular shaped block. From there, I have nothing in the pocket back there. It's nice and clean. It gives me a lot of depth I can work with. But when you go over to the next one over, this is where we get into that true storefront opening. And what we're dealing with there is we're dealing with that piece of corner sitting back there behind it, that store glass and holds it in place. Because that little piece of, that little corner right there, if you're up there working to do insulation and add something out into the frame itself, you have to be careful. Because if you just nick it, you are going to have a problem. And we'll show you that in a little bit. If you're familiar with strikes, well, the strikes were designed for these pockets, for this original design. The Adams Rite 7100, the Adams Rite 7100 designed shallow depth to be able to decide that if I'm going to get in, I'm going to install it. What am I going to work with? Brief earlier, I talked to you about the door thickness. You need to pay attention to the detail of the door because this will make it in the hardware you're going to select, the hardware we're going to be able to help you work and pick the right hardware. Is that door thickness 3/4 or 2 1/4 width? So we're paying attention to the detail. Here, just a quick review. You can see all the different strikes that we have. They'll fit the different styles of frames that you have. That box that's open in the back. My depth, 1 inch and 5/8 inch. But when I get over here to the other side over here where I've got to deal with that glass, the depth of my strike is only 1 1/16 inch. So I've got a little space back there, but I want to be careful. When I'm out there working, I am not going to hit that back corner back there. As we look at the basics of the frame, so now we're going to turn to the style. And this is a narrow style frame here. Because right now, if there's one thing you really need to know, if you're going to pick the hardware for a storefront opening, this is critical. And I'm going to talk about the back set. If you mess up the back set, it will be ugly for a long time or until you pick that style out there. Here's a basic style and the basic dimensions out there. It's standard out there. We don't have too many problems out there. What's interesting, what I need to pay attention to is the hole right there in the center where that cylinder goes to. You can see here on the back, this is a straight in look through the pocket mounting holes that are there. These are standard mounting holes that are out there. All the parts and pieces that fit in the pocket have the mounting holes that will line up with it, makes it nice and clean. We also have different mounting options. So if you get in there and it's been damaged, you may have to go in there and fix it. You have different options for selecting and mounting. And these are things that take some time. And this is where you have to pay attention to details when you get into mounting something and it becomes messed up. So now let's look at the back set, because the back set is critical. Back set is one of the most important things you have to do when we're out there working on the job site and we're doing a site survey to replace something mechanical with something electrified. Over on the left, you can see the different faces. They come in different flat, radius, full, left, right, rounded, weather stripping. Okay, you can see how they look looking at the top side and looking down across it. But on the right-hand side, you can see this is where we're dealing with the opening, because when we're out there doing a site survey, we're not going to pull this stuff out and measure it. We're not going to pull out that hardware that's existing in the opening. We're going to have to measure there during the site survey to make sure we're getting the information we need. From the center face of that plate to the center of the cylinder, what is the backset on it? And you can see down below the backset commons that we have out there, and 1 1/8 is by far the most common we have. But if you mess it up, you're gonna have a problem out on the job site. Here we're talking a lot more about the backset. You can see as you look at the 3 products on the right-hand side, that is the 4300. And you can see what backset really comes in. Everything from 31/32 to 1 1/8 to 1 1/2. Look at the different parts. Look at the difference they are when you're sitting there looking at, and you're looking at installing something, because if you mess up the backset, you are going to have a problem with what you're working with. You've got to get it right on, because if you don't, you're going to end up with something ugly like this. The guy messed up, whoever did, they messed up the backset. The backset was off. When they went and installed the product, you could see. How many of you guys out there like this? Anybody want to do work like this? I don't think too many of us want to do something like this out there. If you have a capability of raising your hand and you think this is ugly and you never do it, go ahead and pop your hand up out there, because these are things that is representation of your workmanship if you leave this on the job, okay? The backset was wrong. They forced it in, they got it to work, but it was ugly. And it's going to be that way until someone gets out there and fixes it. You can see they took the screw and had to use it to prop up the 4300 up there. Nothing that I would not want to have associated with my name, okay? There are a lot of tools and resources out there that can help you out. We can see there are jigs. So if you're going to work on the storefront side, you want to make sure you have the right tools. You want to make sure there are jigs that are out there. Those jigs will range somewhere probably between $80 and $120, $130, $140, somewhere in that area. So there are a lot of tools that are there to help you as you work with the storefront stuff. You want to get the right tools and make sure your technicians have the right tools. Give them an opportunity to practice. Go to an old reclamation yard that may have construction materials out there. Buy a style and let them practice before you go out and mess it up on a site. In Ontario, California, we actually have a training center where we train with aluminum style openings out there. So we get a lot of respect out there. Guy Robinson from our team out there runs some great classes. They're phenomenal to be able to help and support you, okay? Just some quick tips I want to talk about as we kind of go through this. We've got a lot of options out there when it comes to working in that style. On the far left, you start out with a double door. The one leaf is we're not going to use it. You know, so what they wanted to do is they went and installed an electric strike in the frame. You know, so with this, I've got an electric strike in the non-active leaf. I really like what they did, because the most important thing is notice is when you're installing something like this and you're going to use a tab kit, you always have to use 2 screws in it. If you go over to the third one over, you can see the result of what happened when someone did not install a second screw in the tab kit. The door was unhealthy. You can see where it comes in and rides up on the bottom side of it, creates a lot of different problems out there. But you want to pay attention to the detail and make sure you install it cleanly. On the right-hand side is where they did the fix. But take a look at my notes down. You want to punch this soft aluminum. You need to punch it before you drill it. Okay, and make sure you use 2 screws. A little Loctite in the back of that screw works great, and do use blue Loctite, not the red stuff. Okay. We're going to talk about some scenarios here. We're going to look at taking some of this hardware here and what are our options as we look at the different openings out there. Okay. Remember, we're not going to do much with our deadbolts out there. So here I've got a deadbolt on here. I messed up the screen there. So, okay, so here I got a deadbolt up there. And we're going to take and we're going to look at the style, what kind of style we're working with. We're going to measure my back set on it. And then we're going to look at what are the products that we have out there that we can work with it. So back set is critical. Here I can pull out the deadbolt, I can work through my steps, understanding my style, understanding my back set, and that gets me time I'll lock my 4300. Okay, here I've got a latch on it, but here I've got my guard, so I do apologize, I get my animation. Here I've got my latch with my dead latch. I've got a guard protecting it on the outside. I'm working with my style. I'm measuring my back set again. Okay, so here I'm measuring my back set, and here I have a different option. So here I'm going to go with the 2190. They're not always going to be the same. A lot kind of depends on what functionality does the customer with that. It's not 2190, it's a 4300 and a different setup, I'm sorry. If we look at the different options out there, there are a lot of solutions out there, but keep in mind, we also have to not only pay attention to the lock, but also exiting hardware and entering trim. Here I've got a Pullman latch, the good old Pullman latch out there. Remember, it comes in a 1/2 or 3/4 inch. This is where someone's going to have a ruler. I want to be able to measure the length of that latch because it gives me options. Is it a 1/2 inch? I've got the HES 9400. If it's a 3/4 inch, that'll take me to the HES 9600, non-fire rated. Very few perimeter doors, if any, on a storefront opener are ever going to be fire rated. So we don't need a fire rated product. But I have other options as well. If I want to go to the Pullman latch, I can also go to the Adams Rite side, R2, designed for a 1/2 inch, or I have the 74R1 designed for a 3/4 inch. And I really like the 7400 product because it allows for 25 pounds of preload pressure against it. And if you're not familiar with preload, it's when you push pressure against the latch that it binds up the striking mechanism so that you've got pressure blowing against the door, air conditioning, weather stripping. The latch goes against the strike. The legs of the strike puts pressure on it. They will not release. This 7400 is designed to handle up to 25 pounds of preload pressure. It is one of my favorite products out there for many years in the field because if I got to deal with something preload, if you're anybody in Phoenix, Arizona out there, and you're used to dealing with the sun and the heat in the summertime, our doors heat up, we get swelling, and you get preload pressure out there. Those are things we pay attention to the detail. Here I've got an option where you can see it's installed. I've got the 74R2 installed with a Pullman latch. So we have lots of options out there. If we do workmanship neat and clean, you can see it's very professional. I want that call back, so someone's always going to call me back. If you've ever been to McDonald's before, you've seen that Starwheel. The Starwheel, like I said, has been standard out there for many years. The past 1.5 years, we offered in the EX88, which is a heavier duty version of it, new style. You're talking about something simple and quiet. It's nice, aesthetically appealing, but it's also a Starwheel. And we're working with that Starwheel. We've got options out there too. There are millions of the mechanical Starwheels that are out there because we see them at McDonald's. We see them at all kinds of restaurants, in professional office buildings, that exterior door leading. It gives you a very strong center latching mechanism for an opening. It also gives you the capability now with this, the new 9800 HES strike and the 7800 by Adams Rite to give you an electrification capability of that mechanical bar. So with the 7800 and the 9800 by HES, I can now take that bar and easily electrify it. There's not a retrofit available for the 8800 Starwheel. You either order it 8800 EL, 8800 electrified, or you can add the electric strike to it now. So we're giving you more and more different options out there. When it comes to the 2190 and the 2290, there again, we're going to walk through our same basic steps that we did before, understanding our back sets. these do have options out there for electrification out there. So you're going to be switching out the unit, but you do have the capability of going to electrified installation. We do need to measure the back step, the stainless 4, but this gives you that interlocking. So if you're talking to a code official and he's talking about, okay, I'll let you put this on there, but I need something interlocking, this is your solution. It gives you the capability of unlocking it during the daytime. You can hold back it during the daytime. But if you've got to throw that bolt out there and I need to exit, with the turn of that lever, I've got an interlocking retraction of the deadbolt out there, 100% code compliant. Here, I've got my latch again. Here, I'm going to look at my frame. So here I've got a frame. I don't want to change out my hardware on my door. What are my other options out there? So here I'm looking at the frame. I'm given a frame. I've got glass on the back side of it. What are my different options out there? And I fear that corner because, Ken, I want to get a quick chance to see anybody that's ever done this before out there. Has anybody ever popped the glass out there before? And it happens. It's happened, you know, over and over and over again. And everybody said it would never happen to me. You're just waiting for that day because you're going to accidentally just tick that corner and all of a sudden it's going to catch you. It's going to pop. Okay. I've got options. I can put the HES 5000. It is only 1 1/16 in depth, and 1 1/16 is your maximum depth you're going to put into that pocket. With the 501A faceplate, this is going to design to go in there nice and clean. You may have to use a tab kit out there, so you've got an option. So the 5000C gives you an option. Now, also the Adams Rite 7400 gives you an option with different plates, as I showed you before. So you've got options, but you've got to pay attention to the detail. When you're doing the site survey out there, what do I need to know to pick the right parts and the right pieces? So how about here? Someone's invited me to come out there and do a site survey. I'm going to access control this door. When I'm looking at this door out there, okay, I'm going to put a card reader, some type of a reader out there. I'm going to put in, you know, I've got an option, standalone. They only want standalone, so they want to keep it simple. So I'm going to go with the standalone. It gives me that keypad capability. Or I can go to a 4300, gives me a nice, clean application. I can replace the existing lock set out there. Or if I want to, I can go to a bar. And the bar is I'm going to look at the bar oftentimes because if you notice in the center of that door, I have a bar across that door already. Well, it's not an exit bar. It may be a bar that collapses down, releases a Pullman latch and lets me out. A full site survey is required to make sure we pick the right parts and pieces on the inside, on the outside. Is it healthy? Is the opening healthy? Here I have another option. I've got my DK26. I can put a 4300 in there. Gives me a nice, easy option. I can go ahead and put that in, or I can put a 4300 in, or I can also go back to my Adams Rite bar. What do I want to be able to put on that opening here? I can see I've got a center lock in there, a cylindrical lock. What are my options? We're giving you lots of options out there. This one here, notice on the top up there, it says Miami Beach area, Florida. And I say this because if you live on the Gulf of Mexico, you live on the Atlantic seaboard out there, you have to deal with windstorm standards out there. A lot of storefront out there, because everyone wants to see what's out there. They want to see what's on the inside of your retail opening. Well, this one may not be retail. We still have to deal with those different scenarios out there. And they're all simple and easy to install. Here I've got a Pullman. I've got 2 bars across the door with the EX8800 Pullman latch. I've got a center mullion in there. Okay, so I've got a center mullion. It can either be fixed or it can be removable. I'm going to have a windstorm standard on this because of the location. I'm right on the beach in Miami. I've got to deal with hurricanes. So I need to make sure that I pick the right product. The 9600, non-fire rated, but windstorm rated. The Gulf of Mexico up the Atlantic seaboard. So you've got a lot of territory to cover there. So there's lots of different options out there. Hardware is going to look in all kinds of different shapes and sizes, whether it's a pull handle, a push handle, exit bars, touch sense bars, releasing bars. We can add a switch into all these, paddles, whatever it is. But also keep in mind, oftentimes you may need the accessory of some type of a door cord loop out there. The door cord loop, you want to put it up high and you want to use something heavy duty. I don't know how many times, you know, we get called back out there. You've got that plastic cover on the end of your loop. It gets broken, it gets damaged, someone hangs on it. You put these at the top of your door. You use the metal caps. You've got 4 mounting screws on there. It is not going to be coming off unless someone intentionally damages it. Okay, we're going to briefly move in. We're watching our time here quickly. I'm going to briefly move over to the touchless options. And because, as we all know, we're changing very quickly right now. We're going into that scenario where we're trying to figure out how are we going to move forward and get all of our businesses back open again. And as we all know, everybody is afraid of touching everything. We've got many states out, excuse me, we got many states out there getting ready to open back up. And there is a huge fear of how this thing is going to continue to grow out there. So we want to really kind of pay attention. We want to make sure we can help take care of the customers that are out there. With that, we're going to talk about some of those touchless things out there, because the touchless, nobody wants to touch anything out there. You know, I've been used to for years. I spent a lot of time in hospitals where the Wave has been out there for many years. So we've got the Wave sense out there. You know, I can wave and I can open up the door. We've now got the no touch switch also from alarm controls. But these are devices where I can literally wave at it and I can allow it to, and the door will automatically open up with this. So one of the things that ASSA ABLOY and ADI have done, we started working on different programs where we can provide kitted kits for you, where we can start looking at, can we work with that guy out there to help them? Okay, I can install a door operator. There's the things that we should be able to do very simply and very easily. So there are door operators that we can talk about. We'll talk about how to open them up, because people don't want to touch anything. I was in a building up in Vaughan, Canada last year, and every one of their doors had a small operator on it and had a wave switch on it. I could literally walk by and I can wave at it. You know, from a distance of 4 to 24 inches, I can wave at it. But also the no touch switch. I like that, and I was working with the hospital one time, because about 5 or 6 of their wave switches, the plastic, it was been broken off, and they said, okay, let's go to this one here. Obviously, they're not just waving, they're punching and hitting it still when they're not paying attention. But with the NTS one, it comes with a stainless steel cover plate. We reduce a little bit of that distance for read, but we have options. The remote control. I was working with a jeweler. If you've ever been into a jewelry store or a pawn shop, oftentimes they'll now use a remote control, that wireless transmitter, and they can use that in conjunction with a wireless kit on the operator to be able to remotely open it up. Or in some situations, they've got the request to exit motion detector out there. So between ASSA ABLOY and ADI, we're coming out with kits and programs out there to be able to share these with you. And you can see some common applications and where we're opening up doors. We're trying to let people out. You know, we can do a lot of this stuff in the Wi-Fi or in the wireless capability out there now. It's just kind of figuring out the right parts and pieces that work for you, and working with your representatives and working with, you know, the ASSA ABLOY support app. How can we help you? And the other thing that's really kind of neat about a lot of these operators out there, not on the ADEZ, but on a lot of the other operators that are bigger, they actually have onboard power capability. The one you see up on the 2 doors here does not have onboard power, but many of the other operators out there do. And like I said, we're working between ASSA ABLOY on the Norton side operators and ADI to create packages that are out there. These are things that we should be able to do. We can add them to our solutions we can offer to the customer. I'm kind of the guy that I don't want to pass it up. I want to figure out, can I do it? Can I work with these things? Can I teach my technicians? If you can install a mag lock on top of a door, a lot of these operators you can do too, but you also want to pay attention to the details of the instructions, because there are solutions that are being created. Solutions with ADI and ASSA ABLOY, the Norton side of the operators, all the different solutions, whether you're going to do the Wi-Fi, you're going to do the wireless options, you know, buttons that we can push. There's lots of options that are out there for you. So look those up and let our team support you. Here we can see some of the different solutions that we're kind of looking at, you know, different types of operators. And, you know, whether you're going to use a wave sense, a touch sense, what kind of hardware you're going to use out there. Now, I mentioned earlier, there's power on board some of these. The power on board some of these operators is low amperage, not designed to do a latch retraction. If you've got a strike, you've got a lever set, you've got a mortise lock set, a lot of these we can handle out there. As I said, the one in the center, the ADEZ, the one in the center, does not have onboard power for you. But also notice on the one in the center and the one to the right, the premium up there, you see the built app sitting up there. The built app means there is a step-by-step detail, literally in 10, 15 second snippets of how to do it, one step at a time. The only thing we can do to make it easier for you to install this is for us to go out there and do it for you. The built app is designed to help you install something quickly and easily. We're giving you solutions out there. We're partner shipping to packages that will make it easier for you out there as There are a lot of different options that are out there. Take a look at our different brochures that we start combining different things, where we're looking at the different options you touchless, because we are going that way right now. This is all about a switch. It's using a switch to throw another switch or to throw a relay. There are tons of them. There are a lot of them out there. The Securitron ones have that lifetime, no questions asked warranty out there. There's a lot of support that'll help you out there, and we back it up with our warranty on these. Briefly, just to talk about power, we've got a lot of power solutions that are out there as well. If you're not familiar, if you're familiar with the Lifetime brand or life safety power supplies out there, they are now part of our team in Phoenix as well. That life safety side, we're giving it the no questions asked warranty, the same as we've had with our AQDs and the BPSs for a long time. So a lot of solutions and options out there for you as well. Okay. We've got a lot of support. If you're working on the Adams Rite stuff out there, use your solutions. You use the things that we give you to make it easier for you. The Adams Rite website, their tech support capability right off the website. There are a lot of solutions to help you out and a lot of people to help you out. You also have ASSA ABLOY Academy out there, over 70 classes online for free. All you get to register and set up and take them. Okay. Here I've got just the last two apps. I've got the Built app and ASSA ABLOY Customer Support app. Go ahead and use them. Download them for free. They're there for you.